Malcolm and Marie, my perspective. Guys, I really like this film. Three big reasons. One, the acting. Two, the writing. And three, the commentary it makes on how we see film, which can also argue to be a flaw, but I'll get to that with the third one. Okay, first off, the acting performances. Zendaya especially, but both Zendaya and John David Washington as the main stars of this film. Bravo, man. Bravo to the both of them. The reason I said Zendaya first, I guess it's because the way I've perceived her before this film has come out, I don't know too much of her serious acting side outside of what I've seen her in, which is, I know her from like Disney Channel stuff, the recent Spider-Man films. I know her from, to me, roles that are more cookie cutter, more like basic in my opinion. Technically speaking, this movie is very basic. It's just about a couple. And they are in their house. But it's the fact that as they're speaking to each other, they're having dialogue, the range of emotion that she shows, especially John David Washington too, but her, she can be one way, then another way, but it still feels organic. Nothing felt too over the top, but it felt like every time, even if you didn't agree with anything that was coming out of her mouth, you felt like you knew where she was coming from. I like movies like that. I like movies that make me feel that way, when I feel like I'm not watching a movie, I'm just watching like some kind of Black Mirror, kind of invisible shield into someone's life, right? That's how I picture it watching this film. And it was very simple in her performance. That's why I liked it. It didn't feel like she was being over the top with it. It spoke to me a lot, especially her performance. I think without it, I probably wouldn't be thinking about this movie as much as I am now. John David Washington too, I liked his acting performance in this film, but he didn't have to prove a lot to me. One, because I liked him in Tenet, but two, because again, Zendaya to me was like the biggest, her and the writing in this film, the biggest takeaways. And then I think I'll get to later. So John David Washington was just more, he was more there for me, and his acting performance just wasn't as good as hers in my opinion. She was the main takeaway, but I still liked him. The second big thing I like about this film, guys, the writing. Sam Levinson. I know that name sounds familiar. I should have IMDb'd it, but he wrote and directed this film. Guys, I love the dialogue in this film. Again, another thing that, apart from maybe one conversation where you can tell they were trying to speak more about certain things in life, and it started to feel a tiny bit forced, in my opinion. 99% of this movie for me, again, felt simple, nothing felt like it was trying to conk you on the head with it in this film. I don't know why that's such a like an odd feeling for me to get with movies, because the movies I'm into are supposed to be like blind blockbuster movies. I like dramas too, depending on what drama it is. But I guess nowadays I just expect specific messaging. Like I have what's like a dreary lens. Like I'm expecting, oh, okay, guys, I have to think really hard in an either really pretentious way or so and so about something that I don't mind. I don't mind thinking about certain things that this movie brings up. But the nice thing about this film, it pokes fun at itself through the dialogue and through the main two characters talking, Zendaya and John David Washington. You can tell that this movie will allow you to perceive it however you want to. It's not trying to, again, force you to see it one way or the other. It's just there. It just is. And I like that. Again, organic. It felt like I was watching real life that just happens to be a film instead of people trying to simulate real life. Third big thing I like about this film, but it could also be a possible flaw depending on how you see the film. When you watch it, please do. Is this. I like the commentary it makes on how we see film. In other words, I mentioned it before with the writing a little bit. There's a scene in this movie where a certain character is talking. You can tell they're trying to do it in a roundabout way where they make commentary on culture, on life, on so many different things. And they're trying to wink at the audience that we know you're going to perceive this a certain way based on the two main stars and how people may associate that with movies based on a certain culture in the States. We know you're going to see this movie a certain way based on relationships in your personal life as well as on film. We know you're going to see it a certain way for XYZ reason. But it doesn't mean that you get to hold the world ransom for that. Because you see a certain way, you have this religious right. No, it's not that kind of movie in my opinion. And it makes fun of that, in my opinion. With a certain scene where someone's going on about why do we have to be so and so to see things a certain way. But then the reason why I say that could also come across as a bit of a flaw is because it made me realize, yes, this movie is very simplistic, by pointing out that, yeah, things are subjective. They also point out that sometimes people just need to recognize people have different perspectives, and that means you may have to approach art a certain way to make people understand the specific intent, and there's a certain way that you can make things better by being specific with who you're trying to appeal to, not trying to beat around the bush. In other words, making movies for specific target audiences instead of just, trying to appeal to everyone can be a good thing. That's something, again, in pop culture comes up all the time. It's something that comes to mind when I think of recent blockbusters. I'm not going to mention any names, but if you know, you know. And it made me realize watching this movie, oh, you know what? Maybe sometimes it isn't a negative thing when you make a movie with a specific lens in mind, as long as people know what they're getting into. That can apply to stuff to do with, like, to be honest, even identity politics, stuff to do with certain kind of hero myths, stuff that is deliberately, as long as people know that I'm watching the traditional hero myth, I'm watching the traditional sci-fi, I'm watching a thing that subverts sci-fi, detective stories, noir, whatever, then to me, personally, it's not a problem. But I can see someone watching this movie and feel like, and they just see that as, this movie's trying to be smart, and it's not as smart as it thinks it is, by pointing out its own meta commentary. People have that same issue with, I'm sure, other meta characters like a Deadpool in superhero culture, even Saved by the Bell. I'm sure, speaking of Saved by the Bell, R.I.P. Screech. People have problems where people are trying to poke fun at themselves instead of just fixing things that we associate with modern film. That could be a flaw. I don't think it's a flaw. I think it's just pointing fun at how we overanalyze stuff, which I'm doing basically right now. But those are my thoughts. Love Zendaya especially, and the dialogue especially. Visually looked great as well. Had some good shots. Loved the way it had commentary on how we see film. Lastly, but guys, you tell me what you think down below. I like this movie. Did you like it? If you've already seen it, would you see it now based on this review? Press that thumbs up button. Help spread the algorithm to good people like you. Share it and press that subscribe button. Don't be shy. It's right there. Other than that, guys, signing off. Salute.